Hey guys, Edison here from Isle Collectibles, and I wanted to go over my first CGC return. This was a 7-card submission that I sent into CGC at the beginning of August. So I got there, I think, on August 3rd, and it was shipped back and graded by August 21st. So 18 days, not excluding the weekends. So you're looking at, I think, around like 14 or less business days that took to receive this, get it entered into the system and returned to me. So that's a fraction of the PSA and BGS times. So that's a really, really good thing to see, that these timelines are a lot shorter than they expect them to be. So yeah, as I said in the previous submission video, if you have cards that you want submitted, I do recommend turning towards CGC just to test them out, and because you get your cards quickly back. I think that's an important part. So if we look at this order, I did a mix of non-subgraded and subgraded cards. So we're going to begin with the non-subgraded because I think they're a little less exciting. Here we have Shining Jirachi from Shining Legends. This is a CGC 9 for mint. So we just have the name, the Pokemon, and then the year it was released, the set and the set number. Really nice artwork. I think this one kind of lagged for maybe off-centering, maybe some corner issues. Just a nice card. I do like these CGC cases because I think the clearness kind of helps the card stand out. The next card we're going to look at is going to be, flip it around, 9.5 Mega Venusaur EX Full Art. This is from Evolutions. Really like this card. I think the Full Art version, I just said that a Full Art Blastoise in the other order. Yeah, Gem Mint 9.5. So we're kind of raising the grade one from a Mint 9 to a Gem Mint 9.5. I'm excited that this graded so well. I think that's a pretty fair grade as well. That was packed fresh. Next up, we have Pristine 10 in the Twin Energy from Rebel Clash. So we have the name of the card, the set number, and then the set name. So released in 2020, 209 out of 192, Twin Energy. So this is something that I kind of had in my mind, was that they should put stuff like Secret Energy or Full Art, because we look here as well. There's a little bit of a gap underneath them. The subgrade, if you got the subgrade, would be even further down on this label. So there's a lot of dead space right now without the subgrade. In my mind, if CGC has talked about this on their end, was that they wanted extra clarity in the labels. So if you want to advocate for clarity in the labels, I think something like Secret Rare, Full Art, that kind of extra information that you can add is just, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't want to add it to these cards. But I'm happy with a Pristine 10. And something else to note. So if you see this got a Pristine 10, this is because there's no subgrades. So Pristine 10 is as high as you can receive in a CGC card without subgrades, I believe. If you want a perfect 10, which is a 10 in all subcategories, you will have to submit the card with the subgrades options. Because right now this means that it received, I believe, 3 10s and then a 9.5, but I'm not going to be sure what category that would be in. And I'm very confident that this is a true 10. If you sent this to PSA, it would grade accordingly. Next up, as the last non-subgraded card, I know what card this is. This is my childhood card. So if we look at the back, the edges are awful. Like, this is absolutely ruined as a card. Just lots of widening, lots of edge wear. We see scratches. Like, that's atrocious. Atrocious in the sense that, you're a kid, you don't actually understand the value of your card, so you don't protect it well. And I used to carry this all around with me a bunch to show people, and always had it in my hand playing around with it. So it's to be expected. As a kid, you don't treat your cards the best, and this is how they end up. But there's nothing wrong with that as long as you enjoyed them. And here it is. We've got a 4.5 and a Blaines Charizard. This is, as we see on the label, the unlimited version. It's a number 2 out of 132. We see that. The front is honestly pretty clean. There is you can see here, there's some stress marks. I think that meant it was either bent or had a lot of pressure put on it that caused those marks to kind of get set in. I think there's also scratches on the hollow foil we can see there. But a 4.5 is honestly quite fair considering the severity of the back. I think this is the biggest detractor on that grade. And we look here, it says corrected symbol. That's an important distinction because there's a non-corrected version of Blaines Charizard where the Roaring Flames right here, where it says discard all fire energy, it says discard all fighting energy as the fighting symbol. So if we're talking about clarity, to have your distinction between corrected and non-corrected, that just introduced more information to the card itself. So if you have it on display, if you want to ever sell it, you're aware that there are these different variations And I think that will kind of create a better market for these types of cards. So if you now know, okay, I want the non-corrected one, I want it to be graded, I want it to be authenticated, I now know that you can go to CGC and look for those encapsulated versions that recognize that error. Next up, we'll start with the subgraded lot. Here is Mewtwo GX. This is the Shining Legends Secret Rare. This is the test tube Mewtwo. Here we look at the bottom, 78 out of 73. And looking at it now, I really notice how off-center it is. Really shifted. Yeah, very skinny. I think it's also a little bit angled. So it starts higher here and it decreases there. And that centering is definitely why I graded so poorly, 8.5 centering. The rest of the grades were good, but I think centering is a very important aspect for cards. And if we're looking at what the kind of goal, I think for a lot of people when they purchase these types of cards, part of it is investment, but another part is for display. So say you're buying this card on the market, you see a lower graded centering, that might matter more to you than corners or edges because you're displaying the card. You're gonna have this on display like that on a shelf. Maybe, I think some binders can support this type of case, but generally you're just gonna see the front of the card. So the first thing you're gonna notice on most of these cards is going to be the centering. And the centering becomes very obvious when you have this black border. So if it grades poorly on centering and it just doesn't look as good from the front facing, that kind of lowers the value and may lower your interest in getting this type of card. You may end up just choosing a version that grades lower on corners and edges, but grades higher on centering. Next up, we have a 9 in Charizard. This is just the holo rare from Evolutions. So we got a 9 centering, 9 corners, 9 edges, 9.5 surface. That's very surprising to me because I thought the surface grade would be the worst because I just got back into Pokemon cards. I didn't take care of this when I got it and I put this in a top loader without a sleeve. So I was really afraid that I'd scratched it on that rough plastic, but I mean, the surface does seem really good. Let's see the top. I think that's just a mark on the case. Man, I'm happy, man. This looks amazing. The CGC holders are just great. Yeah, mid 9. I think this is a fair 9. I think if you submitted this to PSA, it would also grade a 9. So I'm very confident with this grade. And for that reason, I think this I would price very close to a PSA 9. And finally, my last card from this submission is Mega Charizard EX Full Art. Really nice. The same variation of the full arts like this Mega Venusaur, but I got the subgrades on this. So this is a 9.5 Gem Mint, 10 for centering, 10 for surface, 10 corners, 9 edges. I say this is a very strong 9.5. If this got a 9.5 in the edges, this would cross over to a Pristine 10. And a Pristine 10, and even this 9.5, I think are comparable to a PSA 10. Because I think if you were to take this out of this case and then resubmit it to PSA, this would grade a 10 easily. I'm just happy with that grade. That looks amazing. And now that I have 2 9.5s in the Evolutions Full Arts, I'm hoping that Blastoise I sent in, I think at this point, I think it was 5 days ago, that it will grade somewhat similar to this. And that submission that I sent 5 days ago has already been received by CGC, so I'm hoping it gets back soon. But yeah, I love how these cases look. I'm happy with the grades so far, but I did want to do something else. I want to kind of compare this to a PSA case and just give my thoughts on both and how they kind of go up against each other. So I guess, let me see. I'll do a Charizard because the other one is a Charizard. Let me move these here. Like so. I guess stack them. Make a little bit of a pattern. So this is the Evolution Charizard I just showed. And here is a Charizard from PSA. This is Detective Pikachu. This is a Charizard that you get from a pack. So this also graded a PSA 9. So right off the bat, I prefer how the CGC case shows the grade. This is my contention with a lot of PSA cards, is that the grading is just kind of, it blends in if you look at that label. I'm just gonna drop this. The PSA 9 is the 9, the 10, all the grades, they're just kind of set on the same line, same exact font style, same font in general, the sizing, I should say. So it's just very small. It's just on the side. It doesn't seem to be like a focal point of the quality of the card, because if you saw this on the display, you wouldn't know the grade. From afar, you're just gonna see the card. With a lot of these CGC cards you have on display, you can really show that grade off proudly. You can say, oh, wow, over there across the room, that's my 10, that's my 9. So I do like that change to this. So, and then at the top, we have 2019 Pokemon Sun and Moon, Charizard Holo, Detective Pikachu. that's comparable information to the CGC label, honestly. You know, we just have the same thing. We have the set name, the holo, we have the year that it was released. So in that respect, that these are very similar. The main distinction is that you do have the larger grade emphasis. I think another nice point about the CGC case versus PSA is the fact that you have the subgrade option. I think in the long term, people will want subgrades on their cards. I'm surprised that it's not a bigger thing now, and that's kind of the reason I'm so surprised that PSA does so well. I think it's because of that name recognition, but I think subgrades in general for collectors will matter more. So you know you have a very strong 9, you have a weak 9, you have a really strong 10, a 9.5. I think that's where the subgrades matter, especially when you talk about half grades like this 9.5. So yeah, and then another benefit that I like about the CGC is the clarity. So we look at the PSA, it has kind of that opaque style, kind of like a milky white. So your finger, you can't really see my finger through the case. But if we look at this CGC case, my fingers are very clear through it. If we throw it on this background here, we see that you can just right through like the case itself, you see the background matte. So yeah, for display purposes, I do prefer the clarity, and it kind of brings the emphasis to the label and to the card, not to the case itself. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say. I like how this turned out. I'm really happy I got this graded, and I'm happy with the grades that they did get. Whew. I'm just excited. So yeah, thanks for watching this return video. Some of these cards I might end up putting up for sale, and they would be on my eBay store if you're interested. So just check that out, and make sure to leave me any questions or comments that you have. All right, thanks for watching.